Have you ever entered a place so quiet, so still that it feels unnatural? A place where the very air around you seems to press in heavy with the weight of silence, where even the sounds of your own footsteps seem to be swallowed by the darkness. Imagine standing in the heart of a forest so dense that light barely touches the ground. The trees, old and towering, form a nearly impenetrable canopy. Above, the sky is hidden, leaving you with no sense of direction, no sense of time. You can feel the stillness, like it's pressing down on you, like something is watching, waiting. In the stillness, the forest begins to speak, but not with sounds you can recognize. Instead, with an eerie quiet. The silence is so deep, it becomes oppressive. There are no birds singing, no insects buzzing, no rustling leaves, nothing. Just the soft crunch of your own footsteps on the forest floor, and your breath, steady but uneasy, as you realize that this place is unlike any forest you've ever known. This is Aokigahara, the Sea of Trees, a vast and ancient forest at the foot of Japan's Mount Fuji. Beautiful in its own way, yet suffocating in its darkness. Beneath its canopy, there's a feeling of timelessness, a place where the line between the natural and the supernatural blurs. But lurking beneath its tranquil surface is a truth far darker. Thousands have walked its paths. Many have entered seeking solitude, a place to think, to escape. But others, they entered with darker intentions. They came to end their pain, to find an eternal rest. And some, they entered and vanished without a trace. Why does this forest claim so many? Why does it seem to call to those who are lost? Some say it's the weight of history, Aokigahara's connection to ancient death rituals, to the spirits of the abandoned, the forgotten, who wander its shadowy depths. Others believe it's the forest itself, that something within the trees has a power to draw people in, to trap them in its silence. For some, Aokigahara is just a place, a beautiful, quiet forest. But for those who know its history, its stories, its tragedies, Aokigahara is far more than that. It is a portal to something dark, something unexplainable, something waiting for those who venture too deep into its grasp. Stay with us as we step into the shadows of Aokigahara and uncover the secrets buried within. What is it that haunts this place? And what is it that draws so many to their final moments here, where time seems to stand still, and no one returns? Aokigahara, or as it's sometimes called, the Sea of Trees, is more than just a forest. It is a place that has existed for over 1,000 years, long before it became known for its dark connection to death. Its roots run deep, not just into the volcanic soil beneath it, but into the very fabric of Japanese history and culture. This land was forged by one of the most powerful forces in nature, the eruption of Mount Fuji. Over 1,000 years ago, molten lava flowed across the land, solidifying into a rugged, uneven terrain. The lava left behind a series of caverns, rocky outcrops, and uneven ground, making Aokigahara difficult to navigate even to this day. But Aokigahara is not just an ancient landscape. It has also long been a place of legends, a place that was once feared. Long before it was called the Suicide Forest, Aokigahara was associated with a chilling practice, one that still lingers in the minds of many. The practice was known as Ubasute. Ubasute is a haunting tale from Japan's distant past. During times of famine and hardship, when food became scarce and survival was a constant struggle, families faced an agonizing choice. The elderly, the weak, the sick, those who could no longer contribute to the survival of the family, were taken deep into the forest and left to die. This was no simple abandonment, no quiet death. The victims of Ubasute were left to starve, to freeze, or to be consumed by the unforgiving forest. Whether the practice was ever truly widespread, or if it's simply a myth passed down through generations, no one can say for certain. But one thing remains clear: Aokigahara became a place haunted by death, a place where the spirits of those abandoned, perhaps never given the dignity of a proper burial, are said to linger. The forest has long been associated with restless souls, eerie, tormented spirits of the dead who are unable to find peace. In the dead of night, locals claim that the cries of these lost souls can still be heard, carried by the wind, urging the living to join them in their eternal sorrow. But it wasn't just the ancient past that gave Aokigahara its reputation. Over the centuries, it became a place of dark rumors and grim associations. And as the centuries passed, the forest's connection to death would deepen even further. In the 20th century, Aokigahara began to gain its more infamous reputation. The number of suicides in Japan began to rise, and Aokigahara emerged as one of the most common destinations for those seeking to end their lives. lives. It became known as the Suicide Forest, a place where the lost, the broken, and the hopeless would walk its trails in search of an end. Local authorities stopped publicly releasing the number of bodies found in the forest to avoid encouraging more copycat suicides. But it's said that dozens of bodies are recovered every year. Many of them are found hanging from trees, while others are discovered in makeshift camps, abandoned with the signs of despair. And still, Aokigahara remains shrouded in mystery. What is it about this place that calls to those in pain? Is it the ancient history of abandonment, the lingering spirits of the forgotten, or is it something deeper, something within the very essence of the forest itself that draws the lost and desperate into its depths? Despite its serene beauty, Aokigahara is a place of dark secrets, and its reputation as a place of death is far from the only mystery that surrounds it. While some may be drawn to the forest for peace and solitude, others enter and never return. What is it about Aokigahara that pulls people into its depths? Over the years, countless stories have surfaced of hikers and explorers who entered Aokigahara only to vanish without a trace. In many of these cases, there's no explanation, no signs of struggle, no footprints leading away from the path, just disappearance. Aokigahara has become a place where the boundary between the known and the unknown blurs. And what's even more unsettling, many of those who do return aren't the same as when they entered. One of the most unnerving phenomena of the forest is its ability to play tricks on the mind and on time itself. It's said that time behaves differently in Aokigahara. Hours can slip away in what feels like minutes. Hikers have reported feeling as though they were walking in circles, retracing their steps without realizing it, only to find that hours have passed while they've moved no further. Some have claimed that their watches stopped, their GPS devices malfunctioned, as if the forest itself was distorting reality. The deeper you go, the more the forest seems to warp, drawing you into its maze of ancient trees and impenetrable darkness. And then, there are the compasses. Those who enter Aokigahara often find their compasses spinning wildly, unable to provide any direction. Is this a natural magnetic anomaly caused by the volcanic rock beneath the forest? Or is there something more to it? Many have wondered if there's an invisible force at work, something that pulls people deeper, guiding them away from the safety of the trail. People who have ventured too far report a sudden, overwhelming feeling of being watched, followed by an intense, inexplicable urge to step off the path and explore the unknown. Some say these whispers are simply a trick of the mind, but for many who've heard them, they're undeniable. These whispers are said to beckon people off the beaten path, urging them to step further into the forest, deeper into the shadows, where the dense trees block the light and the way out seems more and more distant. But what's perhaps even more chilling than the whispers is the sense that something or someone is always watching. There are reports of figures seen in the distance, only to disappear when approached. Shadowy shapes that vanish into the trees. Could they be the restless spirits of those who never left? Or is there something far darker, something more tangible lurking in the forest? Even seasoned rescue teams, those who've worked in the forest for years, have reported strange occurrences. Some have heard their names called out from the shadows, only to find no one there. Others have described an oppressive atmosphere, as if the air itself is thick with a sense of doom, and the forest is quietly closing in around them. The deeper we go into Aokigahara, the more unsettling the experiences become. It's a place where reality seems to twist and shift, where the physical laws we rely on no longer seem to apply. And the more time passes, the more it becomes clear something is happening in this forest, something beyond our understanding, something we are not meant to comprehend. Despite the countless stories and warnings, people still venture into Aokigahara, drawn by its eerie beauty or its infamous reputation. Some come seeking solitude, others seeking an escape from their pain. But for those who enter, the forest offers something far more chilling than they ever imagined. Many who've ventured into Aokigahara speak of a strange feeling, one that lingers long after they've left. They describe a sudden, overwhelming sense of isolation, of being utterly alone, even when surrounded by others. But the most unsettling stories come from those who were never seen again, or those who returned, but not as they once were. One of the most chilling cases occurred in 2018, when an experienced hiker, well versed in navigating forests like Aokigahara, entered the woods. He began recording his journey, sharing snippets on social social media, but it was his final post that still haunts those who saw it. In his last video, the hiker laughed nervously, saying he felt weird, like someone was watching him. His camera cut out soon after, but the unsettling part came when his phone was found a month later, untouched, lying on the forest floor. His body was never recovered. No sign of him, only the eerie echo of his final words, and the question that remains unanswered: what happened to him? In 1998, a man entered the forest with the intention of ending his life. But something strange happened, something that would forever change him. As he made his way deeper into Aokigahara, he reported hearing the voice of his mother calling to him from the shadows. Despite knowing she had passed away years before, he followed the voice blindly. Hours passed until he stumbled upon a road and collapsed from exhaustion. The strangest part of this story: his mother had been dead for 10 years. Could it have been his mind playing tricks on him, or was it something else? In 2009, a group of explorers discovered something equally mysterious: an abandoned tent deep within the forest. It was fully set up, as if someone had been camping, but no sign of the camper was found. Inside the tent was a journal filled with scribbled, nonsensical writing and strange symbols, as well as a half-eaten meal. Untouched. Despite weeks of searching, the camper was never found, and the strange writings remain a puzzle to this day. Even more chilling were the reports of those who claimed to have heard voices calling their names, voices from the trees, voices from the wind. Rescue workers, trained to remain calm in the face of danger, have admitted to hearing their names called, only to find no one there. One officer patrolling the forest in 2014 reported hearing his name being called through his radio. He called back, but the frequency was silent. When he checked, he realized his radio had been off the entire time. Others speak of figures seen in the distance, blurry shapes standing between the trees, only to vanish when approached. Could these be the spirits of those who have never returned? Or are they something else, something more terrifying, more tangible, that lies hidden within the dark depths of Aokigahara? Perhaps the most unsettling story comes from 2011, when a lone hiker was recording his journey through the forest. He turned his camera to face the trees and began speaking, as if in conversation with someone. He nodded, muttered a few words, and then continued on his way. But when he reviewed the footage, there was no one there. He had been speaking to the empty forest. The voice he responded to was never recorded. After that, his family said he was never the same. He returned, but with something missing. These stories, these first-hand accounts, are just a few of the countless strange encounters in Aokigahara. Eyewitnesses speak of a forest that warps perception, that plays with time, and that lures the lost deeper into its shadows. But what is it that waits for those who enter? And what is it about Aokigahara that leaves such a lasting impression on those who survive its grip? So far, we've explored the unsettling disappearances, the mysterious whispers, and the eerie sense of being watched. But what could be behind these strange occurrences in Aokigahara? Could there be a rational explanation, or is there something far darker lurking in the shadows, waiting for those who enter? Let's start with what we can explain. Could it be that the forest itself, with its dense canopy and uneven terrain, creates a psychological effect on those who venture inside? Could the isolation, the lack of sunlight, and the oppressive silence distort one's perception of reality? Some psychologists believe that the forest's environment triggers a kind of sensory deprivation, one that leads people to hear things that aren't really there, or to become disoriented, losing track of time. Perhaps the compasses malfunction not because of anything supernatural, but due to the unique magnetic properties of the volcanic rock beneath the forest floor. The dense foliage and uneven ground could also contribute to disorientation, making it difficult to stay on track. But is this all there is to Aokigahara, or is there something more? Something beyond the mind's natural reaction to isolation and fear? Another theory posits that Aokigahara is not just a place of psychological manipulation, but a living, breathing entity in itself. Some believe that the forest feeds off human emotions, particularly despair. Could the forest somehow tap into the deep sorrow of those who enter, drawing them deeper into its labyrinth, where they are consumed by their own feelings of hopelessness? People have described Aokigahara as a place where the very air feels heavy, as though it's suffocating you. What if this is the forest's way of feeding off the energy of those who wander in? Is it possible that the forest itself is alive, reacting to the presence of the living, drawing them into its depths in a way that's beyond our understanding? But there's also a more chilling theory, the idea that Aokigahara is haunted. The forest has long been associated with death, and the spirits spirits of those who've passed away are said to linger in its shadows. In Japanese folklore, these spirits are known as eerie, restless souls who cannot find peace. Could the eerie whispers and figures seen in the distance be the souls of the lost beckoning the living to join them? Perhaps the spirits of those abandoned during the times of Ubasute still haunt the forest, their suffering trapped in the very trees they died beneath. And what of the many souls who've taken their own lives in Aokigahara? Are they forever bound to the place, unable to escape the forest's grasp? Could these restless spirits be causing the strange phenomena, the vanishing hikers, and the disorienting sense of being watched? Could the forest be a portal, a place where the living and the dead exist in a fragile balance? Some theorize that Aokigahara may not only be a haunting ground but a doorway between worlds, a place where the boundaries of reality are thinner and those who enter risk slipping between the cracks. Are the eerie voices, the figures seen in the distance, and the time distortions the result of a breach between our world and another? And then there are the natural theories. Could Aokigahara's volcanic rock create a powerful magnetic field that interferes with electronics and compasses? Is it the forest's physical environment that causes time to feel distorted, or is there something more at play? Some researchers suggest that the dense foliage and uneven terrain might make people feel lost, disoriented, and susceptible to the forest's strange influence. But why does this happen to some but not others? Why do some people report hearing whispers, seeing figures, or losing track of time, while others simply pass through, unaffected by the forest's strange energy? Is it truly the forest, or is something more personal at play? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in between, a place where the natural world and the supernatural collide, where the emotions of the living mix with the restless spirits of the dead, and where time itself seems to bend and twist. Is Aokigahara a forest that draws from the sorrow of those who enter, or is it a place where the boundaries between worlds are so thin that anything could be waiting on the other side? Aokigahara is a place like no other, a forest where time bends, where the very air seems to thicken with sorrow, and where the lost are drawn deeper into its tangled heart. We've explored its history, its dark past, and the eerie phenomena that continue to puzzle and haunt those who dare to enter. But one question remains unanswered. What is it about Aokigahara that draws so many? Why does this forest continue to claim the lives of those who venture too far into its depths? Is it the restless spirits of the past, the magnetic anomalies that distort reality, or is there something more, something beyond our understanding, lurking just beneath the surface? Some believe it's the weight of history that makes Aokigahara so powerful, a place where the souls of the abandoned, the forgotten, still wander, caught in a never-ending cycle of despair. Others think it's the forest itself, alive with a hunger for human sorrow, pulling those who are broken, those who seek an escape, into its suffocating grasp. But the truth is that no one truly knows what lies within Aokigahara. No one knows why some enter and never return, while others emerge forever changed. What we do know is this: Aokigahara is not a place you can easily leave. Whether it's the mind playing tricks, the spirits of the past, or something far darker, the forest seems to have a power all its own. It draws you in, it disorients you, and it leaves you wondering if, once you step into its shadows, you can never truly escape. For some, it's a place of peace, of finality. For others, it's a place where reality breaks down, where the rules of nature no longer apply, and where time itself seems to slip away. But no matter how you explain it, whether it's a trick of the mind, a curse, or something far more sinister, the truth is clear. Aokigahara remains one of the most mysterious, unsettling places on Earth. So, what do you believe? Is Aokigahara a cursed forest, a place where the lost souls of the past still walk, or is it something more, a place where reality shifts and bends, and the boundary between life and death becomes impossibly thin? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Aokigahara holds dark secrets, or is it just a place of myths and legends? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the world's most chilling mysteries are just beginning to unfold.